it's Angie from Canterbury Trails Farm, and today we're going to be making caramel icing. I have a chocolate cake baking, and I thought a caramel chocolate cake would be good with the chocolate cake with the caramel icing. Recipe from a vintage 1940 White Lily cookbook, and White Lily was a brand of flour, and the cookbook was given out as like a purchase incentive, and it has all kinds of wonderful recipes. And so this is a caramel icing frosting recipe that we're going to be doing. The first thing we're going to need to do in a saucepan is add a half a cup of water. Then we're going to need a half a cup of white granulated sugar. And we're going to add that to a saucepan, and we're going to start stirring it. We're going to need 1 cup of brown sugar. We're also going to need 2 tablespoons of shortening. I just have my burner on low heat right now. We're also going to add 1/8 teaspoon of salt. And I want to stir that until it's a smooth syrup consistency, and you may have to turn your burner up. We want to keep stirring this until everything is smooth and we have a light boil. Okay, as my icing is coming to a boil, the way we're going to test this is going to put a little bit on a spoon, and it should form a soft ball when it hits the cold water. And I've put some cold water in the freezer in a stainless bowl, and as you can see, my frosting icing did not form a ball. It formed more like strands, so it is not ready yet. And the time that this will take to happen for you will be different based on the type of pan, the amount of heat, and all of that stuff. So I can't really give you precise times because there's so many unknown variables involved. But for right now, for me, it's been about 10-15 minutes of just stirring it. And it is thickening up. You can see it's starting to turn into a syrup. And you see me lifting my pan up and down. That's to regulate the heat. I don't want it to be a huge boil. You can do this in a double boil or two. Okay, I'm going to turn up my heat, and I'm going to keep stirring for a couple minutes just until I see that the boil goes down. And then I'm going to remove it from the heat and let it sit for 15 minutes. And then we're going to come back and add some vanilla and start beating it. It's been 15 minutes now. I want to add 1/2 tablespoon of vanilla to my pan. Then I want to beat this until it is light and creamy. I'm just using a vintage rotary beater here. Okay, it's starting to thicken up. Now, it's not going to be super thick, like a big super thick, like a butter frosting, because this is an icing. And it is really creamy. really start to see it thickening now. See it getting thicker on the blades there. Okay, I'm going to set mine in the refrigerator for a few minutes while I wait for my cake to reach a good temperature. It's still a little hot, and then we'll come back and look at it on the cake. I hope my cake is cooled off enough here. Frosting got warmer. I was able to spread it a little bit better. I also should have probably made a double batch because I barely had enough to cover. This is a 9x16, and I'd say the recipe that I gave probably would be better for a smaller pan, a round pan, or the size smaller than the 9x16. I needed a double recipe. So it's a little botched in the middle because the cake was not cool enough, and then the frosting was a little bit too cold. So as it warms up in the room temperature, I'm hoping everything will even out. So this has been the 1940 White Lily caramel icing recipe, and thank you for joining us, and I apologize for the botched center of the cake. I'm sure it's going to taste really good despite the fact that the middle was too warm. So let that be a lesson to let your cake cool all the way. Thanks for joining us today.